Hey, it's Randy, and you are at my gallery showing, Show Me What You're Made Of, in Soho, New York, at Sacred Gallery, and I'm going to show you a couple of the pieces. This piece is called Remember and Take Warning. It's an 8x12, and I shot this in Birkenau, which is Auschwitz II. Auschwitz I was the first camp. Birkenau, Auschwitz II is where they built the extermination machine, basically. It's where the final solution was implemented and where Nazi Germany really perfected mass killing. And when I went to Auschwitz I, we were in Poland, Lamb of God was in Poland, and it was a rainy day, we had a day off, and we were Krakow, I believe it's outside there. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go to Auschwitz to see this, because I think it's important to see these things. It was early, everybody else was like, oh, we're tired. I'm like, okay, I'm going by myself. So I took a bus from the hotel and toured Auschwitz I, and as I walked in through Auschwitz I, there was a group of Hasidic Jews behind me. And they were walking under the gate that says Arbat Makfrei, through work freedom, which was what the Jews saw when they walked into Auschwitz. And these Hasidic Jews are walking under this, taking photos of this, like, death sentence, basically, on iPads. It was very surreal, you know? And throughout the day, as I toured, they were, you know, right behind me, basically, in a group right behind me. So when we got to Birkenau, which is mostly empty, like the remains of the crematoriums, I believe the Nazis blew it up. There was a little red house, a little white house, in order to try and hide a lot of what they had done. There was still the toilet stall, and it was basically like a trough when you think of like a slaughterhouse trough. It was really long, and this is, I was leaned down and I was taking a picture of it because it's a long concrete plank with these holes punched in at 1 foot intervals. And once a day they would herd the Jews in, and the gypsies and other people that were kept there. There were a couple of Catholics, I think. And they would sit them there, and they had, I believe it was 90 seconds, they said, to use the bathroom, you know, pee and poop. And, you know, no privacy, everybody's herded in, go to the bathroom now. And I was taking this picture and I was focusing, and the light was changing, and at that time, this group of the Jews who had been following me all day, these Hasidic people came in, and they were just looking. And the shot was not purposely out of focus at first. You know, I had a clear one of this, and then as they came in, they blocked the light, and my sensor changed, the autofocus and so forth, and they went blurry. And, you know, it was really powerful to see these people behind me all day long. I think they were Israeli. They were speaking Hebrew all day long. And, you know, it's just them reflecting, you know, thinking about the atrocities that occurred there. So it's a dark piece, you know. It's a dark piece, but like I said, I call the piece Remember and Take Warning because these things are meant to be remembered. Some people don't want to go see these things. They're like, oh, I can't handle that. And I think you have to remember these things because the darker aspects of human nature will come back if we don't guard against that. You know, atrocities will repeat. So this is kind of my way of, you know, not, I guess, taking opportunity of human tragedy or anything, but saying, hey, this is, you know, what happened, and people are seeing this. You know, it's important to remember this stuff. One is called An Unusual Question, and I was in Austin, Texas a few months ago. Phil Anselmo runs this thing called the House Horror Film Festival and Music Festival, and they wanted me to come down there and introduce some bands and do a talking panel with me and some other guys in bands. Did a panel with like some of the guys, the original cast of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And basically just hung out and talked about horror and metal and, you know, stuff like that. And it was a great weekend, just a big hangout with a bunch of friends I knew. And I'm hanging out just in the crowd because it's a really mellow place, and this guy walks up to me and he goes, "Do you want to light me on fire?" And I'm like, that's kind of that's an odd question, don't you think? I'm like, define light me on fire. Like, is this a metaphor, you know? And he's like, well, I'm a DIY daredevil, and, you know, I'm like, DIY daredevil sounds kind of sketchy. You know, I don't know. But I've done it a million times, and I asked a bunch of people from Austin. They're like, yeah, we've seen him do this. So I'm like, yeah, if I can take pictures of it. And you know, so we set a time, and then after the evening's festivities, we went around back of Emo's in Austin, and he has this crazy, like, homemade fireproof suit and a motorcycle helmet, and he doused himself in gasoline, and his friend was to the side with a fire extinguisher, and they gave me a torch and lit it, and I touched it to the guy's back and hopped back and just I had my camera in my hand and just started, you know, and got, I don't know, probably 20 shots of him, and this was my favorite that I picked of that. And I you know, didn't even singe a hair on his head, so I lit another human being on fire, didn't harm him. Both of us lived to tell the tale. I was very nervous when I did it, and in retrospect, it probably wasn't the smartest thing. But it happened, and now it's hanging on the wall, and, you know, Lamb of God fans are crazy, you know. This is the shot that's up for auction. It's called Guar Will Never Die. I shot it at the last Gwar-becue. And the bidding started at 600, and there's already one bid in. It runs until May 8th, the auction does. So someone gave the guy who put in the first bid, even on Instagram, they're like, 600, you're only 66 short of a metal bid. So he's like, you're right. So I think it's up to $666 right now. So someone should raise some more money for Art 180. You know, this is a guy in a sort of a semi-odorous costume, and there's blood flying, and all the Guar fans are like, you know, and it's out of focus, you know. It's one of the other ones that's kind of blurry because it was such a weird day to me to see Guar without Dave for the first time, and it was very emotional. And it's still a Guar show, but there was something, you know, I don't know if I would say missing, because they did a whole new thing. It's Guar. Guar will never die. That's the truth. They're space aliens, but it's just like he's almost there. You know, you can almost see him. But you know, Odorous has gone back to his planet to slay other things. So now we must raise money for the children to make art.